Well, welcome everybody. This is Two Sinners on a Sunday, and we are going to be picking up the conversation today, but with a slight shift. We're going to now look into kind of more the male perspective of body image and what that's been like from a personal outlook that is Evan's experience. I am your host. I'm used to saying co-host, but I'm your host today, and Evans is my wingman.
I am the
And
co-host. Yes, sir.
that's right. And our goal is always to kind of just have a conversation about some difficult things, bringing in our personal experience, but recognizing that this is a much bigger topic that hopefully it resonates with a lot of people and that there is something there that is worthy of being talked about in these settings.
Yeah.
And what we can bring is our personal experience, but with that, just hoping that people can put themselves in the same situation and sit with how they've lived the same experiences. So, all this to say, today we're going to talk about body image, but from a different perspective. So,
Yes.
where we were leaving off, Evans, was, my experience, but I feel like you've also been through some stuff that I think we should talk about from your experience.
Yeah. Um, Body image wise, I kind of encompass the whole idea of body image with how you see your physical appearance or how your physical appearances are perceived by your community, your family and stuff like that. The value that you bring to the community when it comes to appearance wise, especially in a high demanding religion where
Yeah,
appearance is usually the main thing. Keeping up appearances
it's so
is
important.
one of the main important factors that make up, someone that pleases the system. Everyone has to appear not only physically but mentally, behaviorally to be following the rules and being one with the team, right? And I'm just going to be winging this because I've got all the memories entangled in my mind, and I'm gonna have to detangle this whilst we're talking.
And I, I,
Um,
I want to start with what we were talking about the last time, so maybe this kind of can help you untangle a little bit.
yeah, that's fine.
But I really thought it was interesting how you talked about those camps. Was it those camps as a youth that
Yes.
you would go to, and the women or the young girls were pretty much told, "Hey, Jesus loves
Oh
you,
yeah.
everything's great," and then you go back home. Tell us about that.
Oh
Just
yeah.
tell us about that experience from both your contemporary peers that were female, but
Mhm.
also as a man who, kind of did see everything as an object, and the girls are seeing, like, what we were talking
Yeah.
about the other night.
All
Yeah, tell
those.
me, let's
Right.
talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So just to give a bit of a background, I was someone who grew up always insecure about his body because I was very sickly lean.
Okay.
I wasn't sick all the time. I just looked sickly and
Mm,
lean all majority of my childhood and a huge part of my adulthood. Mainly until I started deconstructing, leaving the toxic environment and then started building myself, and then I started growing into my body. Or maybe just I was a late bloomer. It could be any of those. Who knows? I mean, who knows these things, right? But I always had an insecurity with my body. I never really fit into clothes
mm,
that was
hmm.
given to me. One of my biggest insecurity were trousers. I always found myself not fitting in the trousers, so I would kind of like put extra pins to kind of tie it around in a certain corner, and
Mm.
hopefully during the day
Mm.
you're anxious because you hope that it doesn't come off, and then right, all of those things. So you're
Right.
walking in and you're trying to make sure that everything is okay. And my arms were very, I had noodle arms, and shirts, and I used to get teased all the time.
Mm, mm,
Luckily I was tall, so that made up kind of for it in a very weird way. It didn't take me away from the teasing because if I was short, then I guess that would be worse. And as a
mm.
man, when it comes to body image, you listen to any kind of dating podcast, or you listen to any kind of
I know.
um
Yeah.
demands that maybe your average lady would make to say, "Oh, what kind of guy are you into?"
Right.
And it's like tall, dark, handsome. Well, if you are short, ugly, and not,
Yeah.
and light, I guess you
Yeah.
fall out of the category, right? So even
I've
though,
heard I've heard people say the three sixes is what women look for,
Oh yeah.
which is over 6 feet tall,
Yes.
over six figures,
Yes.
and a six pack. Like,
And a
is
six
that the
pack.
and a six pack?
And a six
And
pack.
and it's funny because I genuinely know that there are lots and lots and lots of women out there that actually do look that way. Just
Yeah.
like there are lots and lots of men out there that want, the beautiful trophy
Right.
girlfriend and,
Right.
big breasts,
Right.
beautiful, luscious hair, big lips,
Small
all of it,
waist. Yes.
small waist, all of those things. And it's funny because to me, that's such I'm just not wired that way. So to me, it's foreign, but I know it exists. So all this to say that for me, it's like I'm to a point where, and I think I've always been, it's just like, treat me nice. I
Right.
mean, maybe my bar is really low.
Bar
It's
is
like, I'll
really
take
low, lady.
I
Come on.
want a
Let's just
short,
six
chubby
this.
man that will just treat me nice. Can I just have some, like an accountant or something? Like, just
Oh
like,
wait, hold on. So wait, you
Sorry,
want the
sorry, sorry,
accountant?
sorry, sorry, sorry. No, 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 no. That was awful. That was awful. I should not have said that. Just like a short,
Oh man.
I don't know. My my bar is pretty dang low. But yes, there are women. Stop, Evans. Get it together. Um,
That's brilliant.
Accountants of course, accountants have six packs and are 6 feet tall and have, just kidding.
Well, I'm laughing because you didn't say a bricklayer. You said an accountant. Like, okay.
Well, hey, a
Oh,
bricklayer would be like, he would be jacked, wouldn't he?
he
Like
would
he'd
be
be
jacked.
strong.
He would
Yeah,
be jacked.
exactly. He'd have the six
He
pack
would have the six
situation
pack.
going on. My point is, I am not like that, but I know that there are people that actually do think those three things are really important, and the
Yeah.
same on the opposite side with dudes that really care about those three things with women as well. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead. I've
Yeah.
embarrassed myself, so
No,
go
no,
ahead.
no, no. I was just pulling your legs. I totally understood what you meant.
All right.
So that's pretty much what guys hear a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as a young person who have just moved to the UK, as a
Mm-hmm.
we you when you move to the UK as an African in the African community, you're called a freshie.
Okay.
So a freshie is someone who's just moved from Africa to the UK, right? That's a freshie.
Mm-hmm.
So your language is still very African. You can tell the accent like so easily. Like, okay, you're definitely from somewhere Ghana or Nigeria or somewhere else. Like, oh, I can tell. Like it doesn't it takes a while for people's accents to develop. Some people's accent never really develop. It just stays the same way, especially when it comes to they're already adults, right? It takes a while for your accent to assimilate to whatever country that you're in, their main language and their accent in the unless you're born in the country or you came to the country really young. Like
Mm-hmm.
my little brother picked up the London slang
Accent.
accent very
Oh, okay.
easily.
Okay.
And I didn't. I just didn't care for it. The moment I started hearing the London accent, I just like, oh my God, I don't want to sound like that. I don't want to sound. I just could. I couldn't do it. I don't know why. There was just something about the London accent that just kind of pushed me away. I don't know. Maybe that's just my own problems. I lean more towards American accents because I listen to a lot of American songs. I watch American movies. I read American books.
I remember you telling me that in Ghana, the exposure you had to the English language was a lot in movies, that you
Yeah.
watched a lot of movies. And so, of course, you're gonna
Yes.
probably lean more towards American. That's why I'm
Yes.
shocked that you still say schedule and
Well,
and
that's the
it should
thing
be
is
schedule.
I know.
You're
Well,
you're getting it. Come on.
well, that's the thing is that I have a mix, right? So I have to
You
I,
do.
I have to take what I like in the UK and then take what I already know. And obviously you still hear the African accent in the background because I still am really deeply
Correct.
African. So that is never going away.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always want people to hear my African accent because I am still African. Okay.
I love
So
that about you. Honestly, don't ever. What's beautiful is you can have it all. You can have it
oh
all.
yeah.
Because it's all part of your story.
Yes,
So,
it's all
yeah.
me. So anyway, that was just a tangent. Um, when you come to the UK for the first time, you get introduced to, well, the community that you're going to be in, right? So mostly people go to church. So you go to
Hmm.
church and you see the girls in the church, and you're like, oh my God, wow, girls in the UK are gorgeous. They're pretty. Now I have
Hmm.
to be the guy.
Mm.
You start to do the man thing, right? You start to do
Okay.
the man thing. You start
Yeah.
to check your
Hmm.
clothes, check your shoulders, and make sure that you're. And then you start to realize you are way behind in the community, because the girls that are in that community are way ahead of you when it comes to education. They're way ahead of you when it comes to careers and stuff like that, because they've been here. They've been here since they're young. They've been here since
Yeah.
all of these things. At least that was my experience, right? Now, this goes the same with the ladies as well when they come to the country anew. It's just that it's very different.
You're talking about the ladies as in women
So
from
women,
Ghana
right,
coming
women from Ghana.
to the
Oh,
UK.
right. So, oh, African
Okay.
women, right? Yeah. Now this is my
African
experience.
women
Yeah.
coming, they feel like they are way behind
Yes.
because their peers in the UK, are we talking about like non-African peers
So
or African peers that just came to the UK
for
when
the
they
sake
were
for the
much younger?
yeah, for the sake of what I'm talking about, I'm putting
Yeah,
my head in the African community in the UK, right?
understood.
So their
Okay.
peers in the African community are way ahead. Now that's just in the African
If
community.
they come later in life like you did,
If they come later in
that's what
life,
you're saying. Okay,
yes, if they come
I
later
get
in
it.
life. So, like for example, when I came, I had to repeat a year in my education in order to
Oh,
assimilate into the education system. So I was
okay.
old. I was older than most of
Okay.
my schoolmates. I was older than all of them. They couldn't tell how old I was because luckily I looked my genes were good in that sense. Like you could like, this guy is a small guy. Like I said, late bloomer,
Mm.
right? Late bloomer,
Mm-hmm.
lean, quiet guy, timid. He's probably like 16 or something. No, I was like 18 going 19. I was trying to draw the comparison and the similarities. Anyone that comes in the country feels behind. Anyone, they all come in, they have to take a step back to retrace their steps and decide what they want to do. When it comes to how they are perceived, I can only speak for a guy's perspective, but I can imagine that women would feel the same way. There is an insecurity that you are not enough because you are not British enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're too African. So you kind of have to, you have a choice to assimilate quickly and to try
Mm-hmm.
to stay away from being too African, or
Mm-hmm.
just try to find someone who will appreciate your African for who you are. A lot of the time, people would prefer to find someone who's just as themselves as they are, that don't want to change them, right? That wouldn't want them to change in that sense. But there is always that insecurity there, that to say that you're not enough.
Yeah.
There are these other people here who have been here, who are better than you, and stuff like that. No one tells you this, but it's kind of implied. So
Yeah.
you take your time to get used to things.
But I think that that's kind of important to set up the context. We're going to have to spend some time also just talking about just in general what it's like to move from one country to another, and for you, one continent to a different well, I guess for both of us, because even when I
Yeah, for
moved
you
from
too.
Italy to the United States, it came with a huge culture shock. And also to this day, just never really feeling fully assimilated. So we'll have to
Mm,
spend some time talking about how that
definitely,
feels at
definitely,
another time. But yeah,
definitely,
continue. Go ahead.
definitely. You're right. Just a throwback from Ghana. I've always been, like I said, I've always been teased. I've always felt like my body was not good enough. Luckily, I had a girlfriend in
Hmm.
Ghana, so it was kind of resolved in that sense. And mostly
Okay.
because I was very active in the church. I was singing a lot. I was teaching a lot. So I kind of had some notoriety on my own. So
Okay.
that helped me out with at least some of the ladies, not all of
In
them,
Ghana, though.
in Ghana.
In
So
Ghana,
in
you
Ghana,
had a girlfriend, which increased your confidence. You
right,
had
right,
notoriety with your musical abilities. And so
right,
that kind of canceled out any of
yes,
those other issues about feeling like a
right,
noodle or
right.
whatever else that you were
Feeling,
feeling.
definitely
So
feeling like
yeah,
a noodle, yeah. But
this is,
so you're right. That canceled out all the unfortunate,
yeah,
bullying that was
yeah.
going on there. But when I came to the UK, all of that was taken away. What
Mm.
was gone. I had to start afresh,
Yeah.
and then also living in a dysfunctional family system, being in a high controlled religion. Self image became a huge problem for me because now I was growing into an adult. that was being micromanaged, that was being abused, that was being made to. I already felt like I wasn't enough, but it was multiplied by being in the home. And I started to feel very uncertain. Like it's not even a lack of confidence. It was more like a fear when it came to talking to girls that I liked or that I found attractive, because
Where did the fear come from?
the fear really came from the fact that they would see that I'm not good enough because I've been told that I am not good enough. So when I try to be confident, I'm afraid that they would see through
Wait,
it.
wait, 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 wait. Who was telling you that you weren't good enough? Was this just
Well,
you observing society and saying to it to yourself?
it's more of obviously having that data, like I said before, having that
Yeah,
data to say, oh hey, look, the data that you have in the past, you have been bullied for your body. Your
yeah.
body has never been good enough. And I remember when I was in boarding school, one guy really said he said something that was really funny. He was like, we were chatting, having a conversation about girls and stuff like that, and I kind of chipped
Hmm.
in, because we were all laughing and stuff like that. And he said, "Wait, you Evans, I don't see any girl being attracted to you like ever." Yeah, he said that.
Yeah,
And people laughed. People around him laughed, and I laughed too. But that was like a
right?
yeah, that was like a stab, right? But I
Yeah.
had to laugh because everyone was laughing. We were just teasing each other. But that was like, whoa,
Oh, you can't show the world that it got to you,
no, you
that it
can't.
penetrated.
No, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
no.
His name was Stewart,
Evans,
and I
I
will never
just want to
forget him.
I was about to say, isn't that fascinating how in the last episode that I shared about that ex-boyfriend fiance that he made those comments about my body, and here I am 20 plus years post, and it still
Yeah.
impacts me.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many things that even though my rational brain says that's not true, those things still. And so I wanted to ask you, does it still impact you, these memories that said that? Because now you're like, well, I'm a man, I go to the gym, I take care of myself, I do all these things. But does that still creep into your inner dialogue?
No. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, luckily,
Yeah,
I have done
that's
I
good.
have done a
That's
lot
really
of
good.
I've done a lot of work to be able to separate
Mm,
myself from that. And also doing a lot of the deconstruction from
yeah.
from from religion and from my dysfunctional family. And in fact, anything dysfunctional, I started to realize that, oh, why did I even believe him? Like
Yeah.
that was some sad guy's idea of a joke, and
Yeah.
why would I even believe them in the first place? And also, I've
Right.
I've had girlfriends in the past. I've never, I've
That never made those comments, of
that never made
course.
those comments. Now I've had girls also tease me as well, but
Mm.
but never really outright said something as hard hitting as that. I can talk about how it affected me when I was deconstructing, because it had affected me throughout all those years. It's only been a couple of, let's say, 3 4 years that I've been able to finally separate myself from that and realize that I am a man. I am just as attractive as probably any average guy out there. Some girls will like me, some girls will not like me, and that's just how it works. That's just how life works. Before I came to that conclusion, it was still something that ate me up. That insecurity was still there. That body image was still there. And those were, so it affected me for a while, way 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 after he said it. It affected me for a while. Only when I had finally been able to deconstruct a lot of the dysfunction, that I was able to step away from it and realize that it was just a lie. It's not true. Well, clearly, because I had evidence to back it up. I had
Hmm.
evidence to back it up. Let's get back in the mud, right?
Let's do
And
it.
feeling the fear of being able to speak to girls, being able to be myself. And also, I had a problem fitting in my community. My older brother never had a problem doing it. He was immediately loved. He was cracking jokes. I found myself having problems doing something similar, because I was struggling to. First of all, I was having the anxiety speaking to girls, but I also wanted to have at least compensate with male friends, right? To hang around with people. But I've started to realize I'm highly interested in music. I like talking about deep things. I like having deep conversations. So I wasn't finding anyone that I could do that with, at least willing to do it with me, because that's the thing. Because it could be that these people
Mm.
are people who can have deep conversations. They just didn't think I was someone that I was qualified according to their standards to be someone to have that conversation with. That's totally
Mhm.
fine. They are totally entitled to how what who becomes their friends and stuff like that. But we're all in the same church community, right?
Yeah.
So that was very hard for me. I wasn't interested in the whole surface level cracking jokes, being liked because I'm funny. I wasn't interested in any of that. So that became very difficult for me to assimilate. And that
Yeah.
made my relationship with girls at the early stage coming to the UK very difficult as well.
Mhm.
Because it's like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I can't speak to this girl. I think she's pretty, but I'm afraid because I'm afraid of what she's going to tell the other girls, of what she's going to tell the other girls because of my past of being bullied. It was being bullied by, a group of people like my schoolmates or stuff like that. So I always had those kind of
Insecurities.
insecurities to say, oh, they're going to do the same thing that they were doing in Ghana. So that I was
Yeah.
always afraid of, doing
Yeah.
that. I tried, but some things backfired, and it reinforced that idea to say, see, they're laughing at you. Exactly, we told you not to venture. So my insecurities came from that, and it's very hard. But it all falls in the same patriarchal expectation of what a man should be, what a man should have, how a man should look like, what a woman should be, what a woman should have, what a woman should look like, and all of those standards. And then we just fight each other over it. We tease each other over it. We tear each other down over those standards, right? Patriarchy decides, and then we just follow. And that's just what happened, and it affects both men and both women. I tried to venture out of the community on the previous episode, the on my introduction, when I
Mhm.
started venturing out
Yeah.
to go to
When you found the other singing groups
other singing groups and
and
all of that.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That was also another attempt to say, okay, if I'm not fitting in this community, maybe I can fit in other communities, right? And then my father brought me in a room, closed the door, and decided to have a very deep conversation with his son. And I was like, okay, father, what kind of wisdom do you have for your child? And he said, don't you think about bringing any girl that is not Ghanaian in this house?
Whoa. Whoa.
Yes. Oh
Whoa.
yeah. So not only do I, yeah, so
Wow.
not only do I have to find a girl that is religious, I have to find a girl that is Christian. I have to find a girl
Okay.
that is Seventh-day Adventist. I have to find a girl that is black. I have to find a
Yeah.
girl that is African, and I have to find a girl that's Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my
And
pool of girls that I am only limited to have.
why did he do that? Why is that important?
It's important because the idea of it is to have a family of similar cultures, of the same culture, that you get
Okay.
on easily. You worship the same God, you have the same ideas, you have the same cultural references or understanding. You have pretty much the same things, that so that the family doesn't have to work as hard. You know,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that they don't
Yeah.
have to work hard to get to know the person, to get to
Yeah.
know their culture, to get to
Wow.
know their parents. No, it's already
Mm.
pre-microwaved,
Yes.
pre-packed. Just we've already decided for you.
Mm.
My
Hmm.
mother already had a girl. At that time, she
Mm.
was a girl. She was, I was a boy too. I was 18. She was probably
Mm.
around 18 too, or something like that. She had already planned for me to potentially marry a girl. She had already, she was like, I have a girl for you, Evans. By the time you come to this country, I already have a girl for you to marry. She's pretty, she's this, I like a family, and blah 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 blah. You're gonna marry this girl. And when I went to the UK, went to the church, and I saw the girl, I was not disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't disappointed. She was absolutely gorgeous. But
Oh.
I couldn't talk to her because
Oh.
the anxiety. I couldn't talk
Yeah.
to her. Body image. I was too lean. I don't think I look good enough. The kind of people that when we go out, we weren't in London. We were in the outskirts of London. So every time we went to an event in London, we would go to an event in London. We would put on our best suits. We've only been in the country for like, let's say 6 months, a year. We would put on our best suits, our best dressed, our best perfumes. I'll try to get the coolest haircut, and then we will go to London, and then we will see these girls that we are in the same local church with go mingle with the London boys. And then I saw, oh wow, okay, I am way behind. All right, okay, so the London guys had way much better suits, had way more cooler stuff, and the girls were attracted to that, and their body and everything just looked good, and it made sense for them to be attracted to them. And I was like, well, yeah, of course, like you would be attracted to them. That's interesting. That's cool. And so I realized how far behind I was. So that kind of made me realize that, oh, I am sheer out of luck with this girl because I am not any of these guys. So like I can't be these guys. That's
And
that's
on
that's
top of
crazy.
that, you had this added pressure. She wasn't just a girl that you met. This is a girl that was handpicked by your mother. So
Yes.
it's like, this is somebody who wasn't just going to be a friend. This is somebody that your family was also kind of saying,
Yes.
hey, make this work.
Yes.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yes. And
That's a lot of pressure.
and I wanted to get to know her, to be friends, but I couldn't. I, I,
Yeah,
I
of
I
course.
couldn't talk to her. I just couldn't because the
Hmm.
anxiety, the pressure was so high on me. Given so many factors that was going on, I didn't feel ready. Though I didn't really feel comfortable in that community anyway. Right. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
trying to have a conversation in a place where you're not comfortable at. That was all, and that was the only times I was seeing her. I wasn't seeing her outside any context other than that particular community. So that made it very difficult for me to approach her and talk to her. That's my fault, but that's still how I saw myself. I didn't think that I was good enough for her. At least I didn't think I was ready because I was still, like I said, lagging behind in my looks, lagging behind in my clothing, lagging behind in my career. Hell, I'm still going to school. My shoes, my hairstyle. Like
Hmm.
I'm just not as fresh as I thought I was, right? Um, from my perspective, I didn't just want to get to know her simply because I was told. I wanted to get to know her on our terms, and she was a nice person. She was a lovely person. I got her contact. I messaged her on WhatsApp, so we went back and forth a few times. And then one day, I think there was a rumor because one of my cousins saw that we were talking, and then I think we were chatting, and he was like, "Oh, so you like her?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think she's cute. I think she's pretty." And I think the next week or something, if I remember correctly, this is years ago. So, and this is childish stuff, by the way. But,
Of course, you were a
but
teen.
yeah, but well, yeah, teen, but 18, 19, like I'm kind of like
Sure.
way over that high school bullshit.
Okay,
Like I'm
sure.
kind of way
I
over that.
understand.
Yeah, I've already
Yeah.
had girlfriends in the past, so it's like,
Yeah.
okay. So there was this childish rumor that was spread around the church to say, "Oh, Evans is dating this girl. Evans is dating this girl," and I was like,
Mm.
"What? I didn't spread
Mm.
this rumor. Who spread
Right?
this rumor?" And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, I got messaged by her to say, are you telling people that we're dating?" Well, I was like,
Uh-oh.
"No, I'm not. Who told you?" And so the scenario played itself again, like it would do in Ghana. The bullying started again, and they were
Yeah.
teasing and they were laughing behind my back, not in front of my face, behind my back. And this happened about a year or two in the UK. So that really would be the thing that would make my assimilation in that particular community very difficult.
Hmm.
I just didn't feel comfortable trying being free or vulnerable to get to be myself. I just couldn't because there was all these rumors there and I didn't know how to behave. And obviously, in a high demand religion, appearance always matters. So put a smile on your face and always be your best. But deep inside, I have this crushing anxiety to say, well, what else are they saying about me? What else are they doing? I have no idea. But again, this is stuff. This is just drama that's just going on. They're having fun. They're teasing each other. But to me, that was crushing. Here's a girl that I really like. I hope that we can get. What also crushed me indirectly as well was the fact that she was crying. She was crying because of the idea that her friends know that we are dating. And I said, well,
Oh.
it wouldn't be so bad though, would it?
Did you say that to her,
No,
or was that
no, I
just
did.
what you
Yeah,
thought?
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
well, it
I'm
wouldn't it wouldn't
sorry.
be so
Yeah.
bad. But
Oh my God.
yeah, so that was kind of like a second blow. But that blow came later. That blow was like pow pow, like a second blow out. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. That is enough to make you feel sad. That's okay. I
Ouch.
mean, I didn't. Yeah, right. I didn't know I was that bad, but I guess I'm really, really like, oof. So hey, again, that's how I took it. Right. That's not what she did, but that's how I took it. That was my interpretation of the situation in that time. I wasn't.
Of
I didn't.
course.
I didn't have a healthy mind to be able to break that down and separate things enough. So
Right.
so imagine your self image at that time is way in the dumps, but You have to go to church. You have to keep up appearance. You have to smile. You have to teach. You have to sing. You have to laugh. You have to do all those things. As time went on, correlating with me deconstructing and working on my body and eating well and basically being away from that environment and also dating outside, I started to realize that, oh, wait, okay, no, I am actually attractive. I started growing into my body. I started doing good, making good, healthy decisions. So on one side, a huge part of my insecurity was a factual thing that, well, no, your body is just not good enough according to societal standards. It's not good enough to be attracted to, so you need to fix that. So go to the gym, be healthy, because people like healthy, and you like healthy too, so be healthy. But I couldn't be healthy in a toxic environment. I couldn't do that, So being out and being healthy was very, very helpful for me.
Hmm.
And but the mentality was still there. It was very difficult to shake off years of abuse, years of neglect, years of ridicule, years of that's hard to shake off. So that was a lot of mental work that I had to do to accept that some people are attracted to me, whether it's for the good reasons or for the bad reasons, at least superficially, they're attracted to me. Some people just aren't. I still don't know whether that girl found any way to look at me outside of the context of where I was at that time, but I don't think I was significant enough for her to do that. At least that's how I felt at the time. But I'm talking about this from the perspective of just that one scenario that my mother created by determining that this was the woman that you're going to marry. So my whole about
But
five
not just her, your father too. Your
yes.
father basically enforcing that, like
Oh
she
yeah.
picked out the right candidate, but in all of that was what your father had outlined were the parameters for you to
Yes.
choose.
Yes. Yeah. So he felt the need to enforce that because he started noticing I was
Yeah,
involving myself a
you
little
were a
way too
wayward
much
child.
outside of the parameters. I was going to
Hmm.
other places that they weren't really happy for me to be going to do. So they were like,
Yeah.
he's probably looking for girls outside of what we've
Hmm.
told him. So let me just remind him that hey, we own you and we get to
Yeah.
decide what you do
Reel
with
you
your
back in.
what you do with your penis. Yes, we get to decide all that.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a huge painful work because I remember we would go to these camps. So back in the camps now, you're meeting these girls that are not Ghanaian, but they are African, right? Some of them are Caucasian. It was mainly African folks that would go to those meetings,
Okay.
and it was fun. But again, we would go there. The pastor would give them, like in the previous episode, the pastor would give them this fluffy Jesus perspective. Oh, you're good enough as a girl. You're good
No, you
enough.
didn't share that in the previous episode. You just shared that with me. So
Oh,
tell people.
really?
Yeah, that was
Wait.
just with me.
Okay, I'm beginning to forget what we shared
Yeah,
in the
that's okay.
podcast.
That's why I'm here. That
And
is why I am the host of
ah,
this. Yeah, so you didn't share that.
okay.
So basically,
Ah,
tell him that so the pastor would go for it.
okay. So you were asking me
Yes,
about, from a theological perspective, how women were spoken to when it came to body image and self-image and
correct.
and how they're
Yes.
seen. Now, in traditional Seventh-day Adventism, you will find a lot of that in African countries because they take it very seriously. You come to the West and everything is very diluted with secular views. Jesus wants you to love yourself and etc. All of these are secular ideas, but they pretend that it's religious ideas. It's not at all. But anyway, basically, the camp meetings were organized by the leaders, but the leaders would involve a lot of the young people in the organization. So the needs of the young people were prioritized. So they would get pastors and preachers that were young, that were modern, mostly from America as well. So they'll bring pastors from America to come in, and the girls will be like, "Oh my God, the American accent!" Um, and then he'll come in with these sweet sermons. Oh, Jesus wants you to love yourself as a woman. You're not damaged goods. You're not this. You're not that. And Jesus loves you. A man should see you past your body and stuff like that, and all of those things. Like the fluffy stuff that we want to
Yeah.
hear, that everyone wants to hear. So that would be the preaching, and it would make the girls feel good. They'll play the song, we'll all laugh, we'll all sing, and it would be just a great time. In reality, that was not what was happening. In reality, the pretty girls still had a pretty girl club, the pretty girls
Okay.
club,
Yep.
And the guys were still being selected. So the guy that was most sporty, big, strong, he would have the girl, and the guys like me who is insecure, who is insignificant, would just phase into non-existence in the background and just disappear because I don't
Yeah.
think any girl would talk to me. I don't think they would find me
Right.
attractive. I don't fit in this. I don't fit. I'm trying to fit, but I don't really
I
fit.
know. Yeah.
And it doesn't work. So hey,
You and I would be what's called the wallflowers. So
the
the
wallpapers.
wallflowers that haven't bloomed yet, by the way. Like we're still like not so we're just
The wall
buds at this
buds.
point. Yeah, exactly. We're wall buds. Yeah,
We are the
that's
wall
right.
buds. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
we
were not flowers even at that
so
point.
we
So
would be the wall buds. Yeah, exactly. We would be the
yeah.
wall buds, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's what that was. And it was just crushing because I would see other people that would be like, "Oh, this girl's dating this guy," and I would look at the guy. I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course, like that, yeah, yeah." And this guy is not necessarily anywhere maybe richer, but I knew that he was ahead of me because I've just come arrived. I've only been here for 2 3 years, right? I don't know much about the culture, right? The slang, the style. It's still all like culture shock, right? I had to learn, but that was good. That was a good pressure that I put on myself. By the way, now this wasn't a camp meeting that my parents wanted me to go. This is
Really?
one of those camp
Okay.
meetings that was the Evans is a bad person camp meetings. One of those ones
Mm.
that's like I can't believe you would decide to go to the South England Conference teams camp meeting, which
But it was
which
still
also
with under
includes
Seventh-day
well, yeah, it's
Adventists.
the South
Yeah.
England Conference of Seventh-day Adventism in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would decide to go there, and it's like I can't believe you're gonna go to that.
Oh,
Because of the exclusivity of the Ghanaian community. It was so
understood.
exclusive that even trying to mingle yourself with the South England conference that included the Ghanaian community was seen as a crime.
Wow.
This is why I thought that they were absolutely ridiculous with their reasons and with their demands. It was just like what do you want? and and it's one of those reasons why I just stopped paying attention to them and just decided to be the bad child, so to speak, and just go because I needed to learn. I needed a shock. I needed to see what was out there. I needed to see how people were mingling. I just didn't want to stay in one community and just be closed minded and just hide from the world. What would that be? What would be the point in traveling to another continent only to stay in the community of the continent you traveled from?
Hmm.
It's like traveling from Italy and only hanging around with Italians in America. Why did you move to America? That's
Hmm.
strange.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
weird, right? But that's what
right.
they expected that. And I,
Yeah,
I just couldn't do that. That's
yeah,
ridiculous. But again, that's a shock that I asked for, right? I guess that's it. So
yeah.
I went in there and it's like, well, you asked for it, here you go. Mingle with these people. You can't mingle with them, can you? No, I can't. I tried, but I can't. But it was still good because I started to realize their singing styles and started to realize in how
Mm.
what they talk about theologically and musically, what they do, and started to realize how far removed they are from traditional Seventh-day Adventist values, and they are really for empowerment. Well, half-assed empowerment, because you still have to have the patriarchy controlling everything, right? So half-assed empowerment, really good music like Kirk Franklin type music. Now, Kirk Franklin is this gospel slash hip hop artist, which would be deemed as secular by Seventh-day Adventist standards. But these people were doing these songs and they were Seventh-day Adventists. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're really doing the thing that the young people enjoy, despite what Seventh-day Adventism is always is supposed to be. So that's when I started to learn, religion in the UK, especially at least at the young people level, is very different from religion in Africa. It's like
Okay.
it's more for the reason why people have to be religious as a young person. The reason why someone would have to be religious, you have to give them something to enjoy, something to bring them back, and they figured it out and they did that.
Mm.
Some places don't. They don't figure it out. Let's get back to self-image.
Yeah.
So, once I started finding my way in this world, my place in the church, my place as a man during my deconstruction, and I was moving away, moving out. I started dating outside,
Yeah.
and I was getting a validation that, oh no, I am attractive. Girls think I am attractive. It's just some girls think I am attractive, some girls don't, and that's fine. That's okay. So I started to have a reality check,
Okay.
and that was very helpful for my body, how I saw myself, my body image, and also, like I said, I was going to the gym. So according to patriarchy, obviously, as a guy, you have to have the type of body, right? And all of those things. But I wasn't really going for that. I was going to the gym because I was anxious. I was going to the
Mm-hmm.
gym because I was mentally drained. I was depressed. I was all of
Mm-hmm.
those things. Like I was in a very bad place. So going to the gym was really helpful. What played a very helpful part for me, and luckily that had a positive effect on my body. But I was going to the gym for those reasons, and I wanted to be healthy, not like ugly bodybuilder. Like, no, I just wanted to at least have a
Yeah.
nice, at least have a nice shape, where I can go to the beach. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, all right, hey, we're playing football. Hey, I take my shirt off. I don't feel insecure. Like, hey,
Self-conscious. Yeah.
people don't laugh at me because I took my shirt off because I had that
Yeah.
experience in the
Yeah.
past where I did that and people laugh at me. People point out, "Oh my God, look at you, look at your body,"
Mm.
and stuff like that. But then I became more confident in that,
Okay.
and so I find that the pressure that was up here in my mind, they crushed me. But I am really glad that I didn't let it sit on me because through all of that, I still pushed to go to the gym. I was like, you know what? Let's see. Out of curiosity, let's see what happens. Am I really that person? So I went to the gym, work on myself, tried to eat good. And then I started to see positive outcomes on my body. And I thought, oh hey, that's good. Let's actually see in real life is that's okay. And then I started to get compliments from even from guys at first. And to say, oh, I see that you've put on some muscle. That's cool. That's really cool. I'm like, that's a compliment. So that was probably, I will not forget that compliment because it was from a guy, and it was from a guy that had also had like a good, the six pack body, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So he noticed that and he gave me the compliment, and he's like, "Oh, you actually put on muscle. That's really cool. I will never forget that
Oh,
compliment."
I bet. You're like,
That was the first positive compliment
it
I've had
meant
on
a
my
lot.
body. That
Yeah.
was the first.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing something right. That's cool. And I don't know why I felt so good about it, but I
Yeah.
felt great. And that kind of stuck with me till today. It still sticks with me. Um,
I think having a member of your same sex point that out is very validating because you know that they're not extending you that comment or compliment other than for what it's intended to be, which is truth, and to say, hey, I noticed this about you and I have no other intention. I'm sure that if a female
right.
were to have said that, it would, not land quite the same, even though I believe
Maybe.
that even those compliments
Yeah.
could be considered sincere as well. But I think on top of that, having a member of your same gender tell you that is extremely validating.
It was. And it was a time where I was in the contemporary gospel band. Now, mind you, I still wasn't confident enough to mingle with people, but I found a few friends that I would
Sure.
hang out with. So I would go and hang
Okay.
out with them, and that would be it. I still didn't have the confidence to go out and speak to ladies cold on a cold shoulder, right? Like, oh, hey, hi, my
Yeah.
name is Evans, and look at me.
Yeah.
No, I still had that mentality, even though I had a compliment, but I still had that there, that voice there to say,
Yeah.
what girl would ever be attracted to you? Like, no girl would ever be attracted to you. So it was still there. It was
Of
still kind
course.
of there, and it was really, it kind of made it very difficult for me to try and get to know people. But I was okay trying to get someone's number and then see where it goes, like talk over social media and then see where it goes. That was what I was able to do, but in person was always very difficult for me. Anyway, I was in the gospel band. We were on camera. Our performances were being streamed live on the camp meetings. That was really fun to see myself on the camera. I wasn't confident before, and now I'm seeing myself wearing casual clothes and just standing in front of the camera, and I don't have a problem because I feel good. I feel good
Hmm.
with my body at that time. It's like, oh, that's cool. I feel good about that. But mentally, I was still wounded in that sense. It was a very difficult journey to come out of it. But once I left Christianity as a whole, and once I left the dysfunctional family, and just once I separated myself from it, it was a very different story. Like I said, I dated other people, mostly casually, not seriously, and it was mostly just to see, um,
Hmm.
just to validate, just, just to validate. And I made it. I didn't tell people that that was the reason why I was doing that, right? But it was more of like for me, it was like journaling for me, um,
Yeah.
through seeing how okay, is this person really attracted to me, or what is this, right? And that now there were some bad financial decisions I made because you spend so much money on some dates and stuff like that because you want to impress people and stuff like that. But I don't really regret them because I see them. I charge it to the game, really. I just charge it to the game. It's like that's just what happens. But the more I started to do that on a superficial level, I got the validation and I'm like, okay, but what else? Because I wanted more than just a girl that is pretty and a girl seeing me as attractive. I wanted more than I wanted something that's built on something valuable, right? And then I started to kind of step away from that casual dating scene. Maybe let me just take a break and really figure out what I actually want when it comes to relationship wise. But that's a whole different topic, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy. Being ridiculed in public in front of many people does something to you mentally. Let me tell you one story that I haven't told anyone. When I was in school, in primary school, Ghana. In Ghana, at the time that I was in school, they beat you with cane. They beat you. Well, they beat you with anything really. They even slap you. So they beat you with canes and wires and slaps and stuff like that. It's just straight up physical abuse that they did. When I was a young student in Ghana, in the schools, they beat us so much that at some point my back was bleeding, my palm was burst open. It's swollen, it swells and then it just bursts. Like it's just
Yeah.
been burnt with hot iron, right? Like that's how it looked. It,
My
it, it was
goodness.
brutal. It was bad. And this was because, these were punishments that was met through things like you were talking in class, you didn't pass your exam, not doing well in class would warrant those kind of abuse. Speaking your native language in school would warrant abuse. Talking in class, making noise in class, the teacher would come to the class and be like, "All of you put your head on the desk," and he would literally brutally kill your back. He would just
Hmm.
wipe your back out. But that was normal. It was a factory for anxiety. It was just spraying anxiety in the air every day. That was just the norm of my school days. And one time there was an exam that we did that one of the teachers decided to punish anybody that didn't get past a certain pass mark, right? And unfortunately, I didn't get past that pass mark. That was because there were rumors that we didn't take that subject seriously. So nobody really took that subject seriously because it was like, who cares about this? I'm never going to use this. I think it was a subject in our language too, a subject about our language tree. It's like having English language as a subject, right? That kind of thing. So we had the tree language as a subject, and apparently we didn't take it seriously, and that really made the teacher mad. So he said he's going to punish anyone that doesn't pass by this mark. And we started to hear rumors because he was teaching different classes that were close to our classroom. So imagine going to a classroom, or imagine being in this room, Ali, while hearing someone in the other room screaming and crying because they are being tortured, and knowing that tomorrow that teacher is coming to your class. Yeah, that's how it felt. That anxiety, that
Oh, it's
imagine
not
that
anxiety, it's
I it
petrification. It's
pretty
just,
much.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just
you're
ridiculous.
petrified.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
terrorism. That's what that is.
Yes.
You're being
You're
terrorized.
terrorized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just hearing someone suffer in the next room. And
Hmm.
then not only that, you get
Hmm.
them to come and tell you after that to be like, "Oh my God, you guys have him tomorrow? Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
And you can't skip school. Because if
Of
you skip
course.
school, that's also a punishment. That's also going to warrant another different type of punishment. You
Yeah.
have to be in school."
Hmm.
It was brutal. So What I decided to do, he was beating us on our backs, on our buttocks, right? That's why he was hitting us with a cane, brutally, too. So what I decided to do the next day, I was like, I'm gonna protect myself. The thing that other students do, for the first time, I'm going to do it too. The thing, and that thing is, don't laugh at this. Some students, when they know that they're about to be beaten, they pack in a bunch of like boxes or panties in their backside so it doesn't hurt. So it serves as like a bulletproof,
Yeah.
right? So so some students can get away with it and some students don't get away with it. But I had never done that because I'm always getting past the pass mark and I'm always like timid, I'm quiet, I try to do the right thing. So I never really find myself in the notorious squad. So I never really have to protect myself
I
in
understand.
those scenarios. But I knew that tomorrow I'm going to be crucified.
Oh my
So
God.
I have to protect myself. So I
Yeah.
decided to, you know what? Let me do the thing that these students do too. I packed in these bags of these bunch of boxes in my back just to protect myself, you know. But it was the first time I did it, and it was very obvious too that I had done that. So when you called my
No, the
name,
noodle has a backside
the
that's
noodle has
gonna
the
stand
backside,
out.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it stood out. Um, and that's the thing. Yeah, that's crazy. So in the next lesson, he's basically going table by table. So you come over, you walk over in front of the class, you present what you scored, and then you hold the table, and then he just goes. He just goes. Just crucifixion. That's just oh. Now he's going table by table. So in a classroom, there's about, let's say, one, two, three, four, five. There's about six rows, six columns at least, per classroom of desks, right? So he's going desk by desk, and there are two students every desk, right, or one student, depending on the layout, and waiting for it to get to you, right? So it got to me. I'm protected in my mind. I'm like, I'm good. I can take this. And it's like, oh boy, anyone can see it. So he hits it the first time, and then like a puff of dust fall, like it's when you clap in the sun,
Sure.
that the particles that fall out. Yeah,
Yes.
just came out like poof,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
it was very obvious that, oh boy, you're packing. Obviously, that warranted a lot of punishment too. So he made me take them out.
Okay.
So he made me take them out, and then he made me
Did you have to undress in front of everyone, or did he at least have some?
no. So it's even more embarrassing than that. He used the cane when it was hitting me. It kept falling down, so you could see it kind of move down. So he used the cane to drag one of them out, and it made me hold it in
Mm,
front of everyone. So
I see.
I was holding a boy panty in front of everyone like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
everyone was on the floor, and he was crucifying me in the process as well. And then he made me march to the next classroom. He made me march to the next classroom and then did the same thing. You know, because I tried to cheat him maligning me, I guess. I tried to cheat out of it. I tried to get bulletproof. And he really destroyed me that day. That was the worst day of my life. And I laugh about it today, because I've been able to process that. It was years ago, and I laugh about it now.
I
But
can't laugh about it. I won't laugh about it.
but that's the thing is it's nobody knows this, you know, and no one in my family knows this, and I'm just wondering, what does that do to a child's brain?
Yeah. Oh,
What
we
does
both know what it
that
does
do?
to a
Right?
child's brain. We
Right?
both know what that does to a child's brain.
Let's
And
say I'm about 13 now. 13,
yeah,
14.
yeah.
Right.
We both know what that does to a child's brain. We can't even sometimes walk into rooms where somebody raises their hands way too quickly and they're not doing anything. And do you know how many times I have embarrassed myself because I just jerk or
Mhm.
I just move very quickly, and my sensitivity to sudden movement, my
Mhm.
sensitivity to noises sometimes is I realize I carry this physical trauma, even though I know I'm under no threat.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I know that like I'm the first one to hit the ground when there's a noise or something. And I see that. I could be watching television, absolutely no threat, and something, a loud noise or whatever, and I jump. And
Mm.
I'm constantly still physically on high alert. So I can
Wow.
attest to that, but not so much, and then the brain part of it.
Yeah.
But Evans, as I listen to you and as I think of my own story, I just think like, at what point do humans need to get where it's okay to hit another person like that, to abuse
Oof.
in that way? To me,
Yeah.
it's like I think it's deplorable for a child. Even when spouses or in domestic situations hit one another, and I'm not gonna say that it's just men hitting women, there are also women that can be violent, but
Mhm.
predominantly, historically, we're looking at it as, the man being the one to do that. Anytime there's a power dynamic. So obviously this teacher, holds the cards and has the
Mhm.
upper hand. And then in a marital situation, oftentimes it's the husband that has the power and holds the cards,
Yeah.
and a parent, the father, the mother, they hold the power, so they hold the cards. A child would never, lash back out or very rarely do so. And I remember being in a situation where I remember telling my leader about certain aspects of abuse going on in my home.
Okay.
And I remember them telling me, oh, well, again, you need to submit, you need to be that. And I said,
Be a good girl.
a dog, a dog that gets hit all the time will submit. But at one point, that dog is going to bite back
Yeah.
and fight back. And I remember trying to explain that concept and having it completely not understood. And I realize now, and probably I realized it at the time, but not quite as I do now, they didn't understand because they've never been in the role of the abused. They
Yep.
have never been in a
Yep.
position where they can even fathom. It's almost like, in
Yep.
theory, no, you should submit, submit,
Yeah. Be
submit.
a good girl.
And you get to a point where even the person that submit at one point or another, they will either die or
Yes.
they will find some sort of strength in them and try to fight back. And it's when that happens that it usually gets nipped in the bud pretty quickly, unless somehow in some way that person can not lash out, but just free themselves and fight back in some such a way. But that concept is so foreign
Yeah.
to people that have never been in that role, especially in these high demand religions where, the weaker party is constantly being told to submit, or
Yes.
even for you in the schools to constantly be told to submit. But it's like that dog, that sweet animal, will at one point also have to say enough is enough.
Yeah. It's crazy. I have the idea that most people who went to that particular school, at least in my timeline, everyone in that classroom needs therapy at some point in their life because that shit will not go away and
Yep.
it will affect them one way or another.
The
Um,
rest of their lives.
and it's like, but the thing is, if you're in a culture where those things are not really encouraged and you are distracted by other things, yeah, you don't really have time. You probably never realize it. You will never realize what's eating you. You don't know what the thing that's making you feel the way you're feeling. You never realize it, but you go on like everybody else, because most people don't make time
Yeah.
to think about these things.
But I think it's
Um,
set up that way, Evans. I
mhm.
think it's systemic. I think it's systemic
That's a
where
good
even
point.
like this
That's a good point.
patriarchal leader of mine was just like, yeah, like you don't have time to think about that. You need to be doing your role. You need to be
Right,
submitting.
right.
You need to be
That's
taking care
true.
of the children. You need to
Right.
be, and also we're going to throw at you all of these other demands from the religion,
Mm-hmm.
or, and you don't. And then also, if your environment is also telling you this is normal,
Yes.
abuse is normal,
Abuse is normal.
the way your teacher treated you, that's normal. You need to accept it. You're not going to stop and think
No.
that this isn't okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, even in my family of origin, it was very much like my job was to protect my parents.
Mm-hmm.
My job was to make sure that their lives stayed and remained as comfortable as possible, that I didn't make waves and I didn't stand up for myself. And that was what was normal. And
Mm-hmm.
I did that well long after the abuse even stopped,
Wow. Wow.
And so it is just something how we are conditioned. And it isn't until, and I don't know how many of us are lucky enough that get to do this, it isn't until you are able to stop, or something in your life causes you to stop and take pause
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
think. And then you're like, hold on a second. This isn't adding up. This doesn't make sense for me anymore. And there are people that could be like, well, but I still don't have time to think about it. And I keep going. But then there are some of
Yeah.
us that have been able to, and I hope this podcast reaches those people, because in that it's kind of lonely because it's
Yes.
what's important is that the ones that are able to kind of stop for whatever circumstances come your way, and to be like, yeah, this wasn't right, what
Mm-hmm.
was done to me, and this wasn't okay, and I no longer want to be a party to it. You have to make a really bold decision. And when you walk away from that structure, you get a lot of freedom. You get a lot of being able to say, hey, these things weren't right. Therefore, I'm no longer going to perpetuate the cycle. I'm removing myself from the equation, and that's great. But in so doing, you are alone. And this falls with systems of abuse. This falls with religion. This falls with relationships. This falls under all of these things,
Yeah.
and it stays with you.
Yeah,
So,
it's something that, yeah, and I'm really happy that you mentioned that it's systemic, because it's going from one stage to another to another. There's no time for you to wait and take a pause and think, and that can be very tricky. Now, to
and
tie
it's designed that way.
is designed
That's my
that way.
point. It is
Yeah,
designed that way.
and to tie it back to self-image, abuse is always tied to self-image, because
Of
it's that
course.
is being done to you, right? It's being done to the
Hmm.
self. So
Hmm.
being ridiculed by a large group of people in your age mates, in your age group, being ridiculed by, boys and girls alike, and being teased and being bullied for how you look body wise and stuff like that, that really haunts you for a long time. Whilst I was dating out, outside, and just having casual relationships here and there, that was me kind of, I felt like I was shedding those parts of me. So for now, it wasn't like a long time, and it wasn't like crazy number of people or anything. Um, I wish I was King Solomon. He was, having 700 wives and 300 whatever. But
Or
no.
Joseph Smith,
Oh,
40,
right. Oh,
50
Joseph
wives.
Sweet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a few, but for every one of them, it was a good, positive feedback. That was me shedding that mindset that I'm not someone who someone would find attractive enough, because you have all of this baggage, and people laugh at you here and then, people tease you all the time and look at you, and it was a good thing that I did for myself there, but there's still more work that needs to be done.
Of course.
um at least for the main wound is definitely healing, because for one, I'm able to talk about it and think about it with with humor, at the time. But it was the most devastating thing, that any
Hmm.
child could ever go through, or any child
Hmm.
should go through. It's not something that I felt secure enough to tell anyone, because of the same thing, because of the fear of being
Right.
ridiculed, the fear of being rejected,
And to protect the system.
and to protect the system, right? Yeah, don't talk about it, just keep it quiet. The system is nice and holy. and you will
That's
find out.
right.
In this case, it's the school, but it's the same thing with any high
It's the
demand.
same.
Yeah,
But
yeah, any high
relationships, it's
demand
still,
system.
if you
It's
look
the
at it
same
as a
thing.
system, it's like, yeah, I want to protect the relationship, and so I will
Yeah.
not say anything.
Yeah. Now I go back to Ghana in 2023 and I heard that they had banned teachers actually abusing kids by caning them and stuff
Corporal
like that.
punishment.
Corporal punishment, they had banned it. And I was happy about it, but a part of me was like,
I know. Evans, I completely understand. I completely understand. There are things in my faith that are coming out now that it's like, hang on a second, you're
wow.
changing that?
Right,
I had to
right.
do that. I had to endure that. Now this, and then I just think they're never going to know what we went through.
Yes, yes,
And they're
yes.
never going to understand because within a generation's time, it'll be an old wives' tale that
Pretty
those things
much.
never
Pretty
happen, that those
much.
things never could have happened.
Yes.
And it's
And
like,
then they'll wipe
what?
the slate clean. They'll pretend it never happened. And
That's
then
right.
they'll
And then the
pretend that you're crazy. They'll
gaslighting.
pretend you're crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll pretend you're crazy that
Exactly.
you're saying it. They
Oh, I
gaslight you.
completely understand.
Yeah.
Again, systemic. It's all designed that way.
Yeah. So it wasn't good for my the perception how I saw myself. It wasn't good. It wasn't helpful at all. None of these experiences were good. I also didn't have a biological parent at the time to go back home to
Yeah.
for them to say it's okay, it's okay
Yeah.
to now I had a foster parent and they did their best. Now I say they because we had four different foster parents,
Yeah.
and they were all mothers of different
Yeah.
of different of their own children. They were all
Correct.
mothers,
Yeah.
but they tried their best to take their time to be there for us. It was funny because none of them were able to stay because of the toxicity that they were experiencing from the mother. None of them were able to stay to take care of us. We
From
had,
your mother.
yes, none of them were able to
Your
stay.
mother made it difficult for the
Yes,
foster mothers to play their
to
role.
play their role. Yes,
I understand.
a lot of bullying from her side, a lot of verbal abuse over the phone. This is over
Goodness.
the phone
Over the
from
phone. Yeah.
yeah. So
You're
she
not doing
so
it
she
right.
calls in, right.
Criticism.
So she
Yeah.
calls in to check in, and then obviously abuse. And we had four. We had one that came in for about a few months,
Yeah.
left. Another one came in for about a year, left. Another one came in, left. And then the last one came in, and she did her best. She decided to stay, but I think she was groomed already. I think she was a good woman. She did her best. She was the one that was really there, the one
Hmm.
that tried to be a mother, a natural mother to us. And I still even maintain contact with her now. But
That's
she
great.
tried, but
Yeah.
she was able to tolerate that level of abuse because she was already groomed for that abuse
Yeah.
from her husband. So
I
she had already
understand.
come out
Yeah.
from a broken marriage of really bad abuse from the husband's side, really unfortunate situations, unfortunate, childhood and stuff like that. So she was groomed. So she was able to
Yeah.
tolerate the verbal abuse because she was
Of
very
course.
humble, timid
Yeah.
woman. So but that was something that allowed her to be able to take care of us. But one thing that she was able to do was she was able to separate us from the mother. She was able to be like, okay, you are not your mother that's treating
Mm.
me this way. It's
Mm.
you are you. And yeah, she's the one that really did her best to do that. Now, she wasn't supposed to do her best because one, she's not supposed to tolerate abuse, and two, she's not supposed she doesn't have to take care of other people's kids. She's got her life of her own, and she's got her own drama, but she did. Now granted, she was being paid, so that's still not that's not just physical toil. It's not physical labor. It's emotional labor, mental labor. It's a lot of things that went into that. She actually had to be a mother of a teenager at that time, a 20-year-old, my older brother who was in uni. He was never coming back home at that time, but him, and my little brother who was just becoming an adolescent at that time.
Oh,
So
no, that's
so it was
great.
like, and she had about four kids and
Of her
of
own.
her own, with her own issues. So it was very interesting dynamic living, but I think that actually helped myself in being able to assimilate quickly in different environments, because the environment was changing all the time. There was a different mother every year. There was a different mother. There was a different food we were eating, different thing we had to adapt to. You know, all in all, whilst dealing with all of these other things, it wasn't a stable childhood. It wasn't
Not at
stable.
all. Not at
It
all.
wasn't stable. Now that I think about it, this is the first time I've actually put words to it. It wasn't
Yeah.
a stable childhood. Yeah, this is the first time I've actually put words to that. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never thought about it that way. It wasn't a stable childhood, and it's pretty much like growing up in a broken home.
Hmm.
But then you come back to the UK, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden you're supposed to
Hmm.
just assimilate, and then you come back to the UK. We The mother is biological mother is there, biological father is there, children are there. We are all living as a family unit for the first time in 12 years. And it's like, oh, let's just go back to how things was and pretend none of the 12 years happened.
Hmm.
Let's just pretend 12 or 13 years. Let's just pretend that that gap it's not there and just move on. And our parents paid no attention to trying to make up for lost time and try to see things from trying to understand us, try to know who we are, try to
Yeah.
understand our perspective, try to see the things that happened to us. What happened to
Yeah.
you when we left you there? What happened to you? Like what happened? Nope, nothing. Till this day, this story that I told you, you are the only one in my that you're the only one that know. No one in my family knows the story that I told you about being in
Yeah.
school. My family don't know this story because they didn't care.
Yeah.
But that was what it was. It just there was
Hmm.
no sense of care.
Yeah.
We came and there was like a system. Hey, we
Yeah.
brought you here. You have to worship us. We've done you a favor. We've got this debt that you need to help us
Yeah.
clear up. So
I know.
there's no like time to like pause
I
and
know.
nope, nothing. Just get in the
Exactly.
routine, submit, obey, and stuff like that. It's like
And yeah, I completely relate in the sense that it boils down to facade. And like
mm-hmm.
even in my family, it was like, we don't have time to worry
Yeah,
about what you're going through, your
yeah, we don't.
struggles. If you're losing weight at a rapid, it doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't
Just
matter.
show up, look nice, look the part,
Yeah,
and that's all we ask of you.
yeah.
And then the rest, it doesn't matter if we beat the shit out of you, if we, financially, restrict this
It doesn't
or
matter.
whatever. It
We need to
does
keep
not matter
the
because
ship moving.
behind closed doors, that's exactly the point of the closed door
Yeah.
because then it stays within the system and nobody will see or do. But then when you go out there, you must represent us in a certain light and in a
Yes.
certain way. Because it signals to the rest of the community that we are good parents or that
Yes.
we are a good partner or that we are a
Yes.
good school or we are whatever it is.
I wanted to say this because
Yeah, please.
when it comes to that keeping the facade,
Yes.
one of the biggest critiques that I always had from my mother was what I was wearing to go to church. That was always a big topic. And that was like, oh, why are you wearing this? You wore this 2 weeks ago. Why are you wearing this week? Because I want to wear it and I'm not going to impress anyone. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, but
Mm,
you have to wear this and then wear that and you have to look this and you have to look the part. It's like, yeah, but at that time I was old enough, I was mature enough to realize what was going on. But before it was all confusing. It was like, what? Why does that matter? But yeah, like they were more concerned as to what I was wearing than they were concerned about how are you feeling in like basically yeah that's a question enough. How are you feeling? Right?
no, that wasn't ever
That's
asked.
never a question, you know?
Empathy and sitting with somebody is just it seems like it was not a reality for either you or me, Evans,
Yeah.
and that's product of that generation. I just think so many times about in the conferences that the Mormon Church holds twice a year. I don't remember many being about empathy and really understanding where another
Same.
person, or there weren't many about even like relationships where how to communicate, how
Mm.
to grow closer to your partner through empathy. It was really, I mean, really the advice was always just like the father is the
Submit.
head of the household
Yes.
and the mother is there to be selfless. The mother is there
Hmm.
that needs to kind of shed herself of any selfishness and just be there for the children and be there. There was a talk where it was like women just put on a little lipstick and do your hair right and
Just
look
be
a
good
certain way,
girls.
and your spouse will then treat you better. And when he comes
Imagine
home
that.
from work, I know. And sadly, that is all part of this pool that we're in. I think it's bred a lot of bad marriages, a lot of
Oh yeah.
bad family dynamics, and even at a more macro level, just unhealthy institutions. And
That could be our next episode as well.
I think we should just
Is
continue the conversation.
yeah.
But as far as like self-image and all those things, we're really, really taught to hate ourselves.
Yeah. You're taught to see yourself as other. You're taught to other yourself. It is a very weird thing that it does, because regardless of how you're feeling about yourself, the idea is that, well, it doesn't matter whether you're insecure. It doesn't matter whether you're depressed. It doesn't matter. See, the problem is you are trying to fix the problem. That's the problem. You shouldn't try to fix the problem. You should just let go of yourself and let God in. Let
Yeah.
Jesus Christ in. See, once Jesus is living in you, now it's
Yeah.
no longer you that is living, it's Jesus that's living. And now Jesus is not depressed. Jesus does not have bad self-image. Jesus has six packs. Jesus has blue-eyed. He's
Jesus is
long
six
hair.
feet
He's six
tall.
feet
He
tall.
makes six figures and he has the
Exactly.
six pack.
Exactly. And if
Yeah.
you're a woman, Jesus Christ loves you, and he once Jesus Christ comes to live in you,
Yeah.
then there's love inside you, so you don't have to even pay attention to your body, and you don't even have to pay attention to depression. Your depression just goes away. That's what you're
Hmm.
sold. You're
Hmm.
sold that you trying to figure out what happened in your childhood, trying to detangle all of those clutter in your brain so that things can be coherent, for you to put names to things and for you to name emotions and for you to realize what happened to you. You doing that, that's the devil's work. See, that's what you're doing. You're trying to fix it, and you trying to fix it means that God is not powerful enough. So that in itself is a weird blasphemy, and you're sinning. But you should just let go and let God. And that was what I meant by the preaching that is sold to the girls by the modern preachers.
Hmm.
When they say, "Oh, they have the magical music playing in the background. Oh, you feel better about yourself. God wants you to love yourself, because
Hmm.
it's no longer you that's living; it's Jesus that's living. So Jesus Christ, if you love Jesus, then you're really loving yourself." And blah blah. And it's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, that's so nice." But what they're really saying is, if you admit that you're depressed, then you've admitted that God is not as powerful. So
Hmm.
you should never admit those things. Anyway, but that's how all of those kind of reimagining and trying to modernize the theology, that's the best they can come up with. They still can't let go of the fact that you should really just hate yourself, like you said.
Yep.
They just
Yep.
can't let go of it, because that's really what it is.
Yeah. And
But
unfortunately, then we make a lot of bad decisions
because of that.
starting from a place of hating yourselves. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
let's
this
keep
is
talking about it the next time. If you feel like this is a good place to
yeah,
stop, we
this
can
is
stop
this is a good place to stop, and I hope
to
that
pause. Yeah.
if yeah, to pause, and if there's anyone that related to at least one thing that I said and one thing that Ali said about body images, I hope that it meant something to you, and it helped you to maybe detangle something as well in your mind that you've been trying to put a name to, or trying to talk about, that maybe no one else is highlighting here. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important for me to talk about it from these perspectives as an immigrant as well,
Hmm.
and all of these things, so that I've always wanted to see if there's anyone out there that understands that, hey, this is not okay, right? And then say, yeah, this is not okay. So that's
Yep.
why we do this. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you related to at least
Exactly.
something that we said, and we will see you guys next
Next time,
time.
I just want to add one last thing. To your point, I think both Evans and I have gone long enough to wonder, does anybody see it this way? And
Mm,
that's the point of this podcast is
exactly.
we're going to just speed that up for you because
Hmm.
it's not okay. If
No.
any of these things have happened to you, if any of these things are happening to you, it is not okay.
And you need to
It
seek
is
help.
absolutely not okay. And
Yes.
we don't want you to wait until you're 40 years old or 30 years old or whatever to realize that.
Yes.
So we are here to say if any of this stuff that we talk about is normalized to you, it is not okay.
Not
It
okay.
is absolutely not okay.
Agreed.
So, yes, we will end on that note and we'll be back next time and we're going to continue the conversation. So, thank you guys so much and do all the things, push all the buttons that Evans is going to have up on the screen.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about any of that. Just push them, people, and we will be back with more. So,
And
thank you.
praise the body. See you guys later.
And Evans, honestly, yes, glory to the body. What
Glory
were
to
we
the
saying
body.
last time? Praise the body. Evans, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing stories, because that's the only way that we're gonna be able to help people is by if we normalize the sharing of stories, then people will be not compelled to keep them and in the shadows, in the quiet, that harbors more abuse. And so we're
Yeah.
going to, that's our goal is to no longer allow for it to have, to be the quiet thing. We're going to say it out loud and proud and say it wasn't okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. We will see
All
you
right.
guys in the next episode.
Next time. Bye.
Bye.